All right then. Reduce, reuse, recycle. It's a phrase we've all become used to, but are we living up to the message?
Our reporter Gloria Kalesh is at a recycling recovery centre at Coolaroo in Melbourne, and she joins us now. Good morning, Gloria.
Good morning, Karina. I'm joined this morning by the CEO of Sustainability Victoria, Stan Krpan, and he's here to tell us why people need to reuse and recycle. So, Stan, are we still getting it wrong when it comes to recycling?
Well, look, this campaign is really because about 20% of our waste in, suburban Melbourne and around the country, I'd imagine, is still recyclable. It's just a reminder. It's been more than 10 years since we've run a significant campaign like this.
And what is it that people are getting wrong or getting right when it comes to recycling?
Look, there's a couple of things. I think we're really great recyclers. People are really passionate about their recycling bins and getting it right on bin night. We want to make it easy. But there's a couple of things that we just need to be reminded of. One of them is not to put recyclables in plastic bags, because in a place like that, that contaminates it. It makes it those recyclables end up in landfill. The other is to recycle in rooms other than the kitchen. So we're really good at recycling in the kitchen. We've usually got a separate bin, but we do have things in the laundry, in the bathroom, in our studies that are also recyclable.
And it seems there's a bit of a generational thing as well when it comes to recycling. So when it comes to the age brackets, who's better and who are the worst ones at recycling?
Actually, that's really interesting because young kids, because they're learning about it at school, are really passionate recyclers. We know that in some parts of the country, recycling rates go up when kids are on school holidays, and that's great. But what we find is that there is this demographic between about 15 and 30 where we need to remind people that, we're not getting it right.
And what happens to some of this stuff that you can't, actually have an obvious use for that gets recycled? What do you do with some of that stuff? Do you have to come up with creative ways to try and use those things?
Oh, look, there's some fantastic things happening, but in a place like this, which processes about 1,000 tonnes of recyclables a day, they're all valuable commodities, so plastics, glass, paper, that sort of thing. But what happens is sometimes people throw things in the recycling bin that shouldn't be there. We've just seen a pallet out the back that's full of car batteries. That's got no business being in a yellow bin, and it doesn't have any value either.
So what can people do to make sure that they that do all the right things that they need to do to ensure that the job of those working in plants like this is made that little bit easier?
Okay, look, if I get one message out, it'll be not to put your recyclables into plastic bags. The other is to think beyond the kitchen to other rooms. Things like takeaway containers, yogurt tubs, they don't have to be washed clean. They can just be rinsed out and then put in. But obviously you don't want any food and that sort of stuff in there. There's some of the key messages.
And is there any stuff that we don't think of that springs to your mind that we don't think that can necessarily be recycled, but is something that can be recycled?
Well, look, we find people are really trying to do the right thing. Things like takeaway tubs, people bottles in, milk cartons, all of that sort of stuff is pretty good. But things like takeaway containers and some of those smaller plastics, anything hard that's a plastic that is in packaging is usually recyclable.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
So when it comes to recycling, it seems we're doing okay, but we can certainly do better.
Gloria Kalesh there.